All right, so today we're going to talk about a company that looked at the chaotic, messy world of online reselling and said, you know what this needs? The cold, hard logic of Wall Street. We're talking about Stockx, the stock market of things. Let's dive in.
To really get your head around the scale of what they built, you only need to see one number. By June of 2019, Stockx had already hit a reported $1 billion valuation. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. $1 billion. For a marketplace that, at its heart, sells sneakers and streetwear. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull that off?
And look, it's not just sneakers anymore, even though that's exactly where it all started. When you look at this list, you can really see the range of what they call cultural assets. I mean, yeah, you've got your iconic Jordan 5s for sure, but then it just explodes into Supreme hoodies, luxury Hermes bags, Rolex watches, and yeah, even rare Pokemon cards. And that's the key right there. Stockx became the place for any physical thing whose value is driven by culture and hype.
Now, to really understand why Stockx was such a game changer, you have to picture what the resale world looked like before it existed. It was the Wild West, plain and simple. And the biggest, most lawless town in that whole territory was eBay.
The co-founder, Josh Luber, just summed up the problem perfectly with this quote. Just imagine it for a second. You want to buy one specific, really popular sneaker. You go to eBay, and you're just hit with this wall of 1,000 different listings. You've got different sellers, totally different photos, different conditions, and worst of all, just crazy different prices. How do you even start to figure out which one to trust? You know, why is this one $600 and that one $800? It was pure, unfiltered chaos.
And this slide right here shows the core innovation, crystal clear. On the left, you've got the old way, this confusing ocean of listings and prices. You're basically just trusting some random person's photos and, well, hoping for the best. But then on the right, you see the stock market model. For any single item, there is only one product page. Buyers place bids, that's what they're willing to pay, and sellers place asks, what they're willing to sell for. The second a bid and an ask match, a sale happens. And just like that, you get a single true market price. Oh, and here's the real kicker. Every single thing is guaranteed to be authentic.
So who's the guy that looked at this absolute mess and didn't just see a problem for sneaker fans, but saw a data problem? Well, that would be Josh Luber. And he wasn't just some dude who liked shoes. He was a consultant at IBM. He was living and breathing data and analytics for a living.
So way before Stockx was even a thought, Luber started this side project back in 2012 called Campless. The absolute best way to think about it is like a Kelley Blue Book, but for sneakers. He built this tool that would scrape all the completed auction data off of eBay. So for the very first time, sneakerheads had a real price guide. They could see what a shoe was actually selling for, not just what sellers were asking. It was really the first sign of light in all that chaos.
Campless got so good, it could actually value your entire sneaker collection and track its worth over time, just like you would a stock portfolio. This was a huge idea. It even brought in a volunteer team of 17 other data-obsessed sneakerheads. The logic was just undeniable. If you can treat sneakers like financial assets, then why not build an actual stock market for them? It was a brilliant idea. There was just one tiny problem.
Luber wasn't the only person on the planet with this exact same idea. And the other person? Well, he just happened to be a billionaire.
Yeah, that person was Dan Gilbert, the billionaire founder of Quicken Loans and owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. As it turns out, his sons were deep in the sneaker game. And Gilbert, a guy who's famous for disrupting entire industries, saw the exact same opportunity Luber did. He'd actually already put a team on it to build the very thing Luber was just dreaming about.
And from there, things moved fast. I mean, really fast. Just look at this timeline. In April of 2015, Gilbert's team stumbles on Campless and gives Luber a call. Just 4 days later, Luber is meeting the billionaire at a Cavs game. By May, he's quit his safe corporate job at IBM. A month after that, Gilbert invests. And by February 2016, less than a year from that very first phone call, Stockx is live. It was an absolute whirlwind.
And this quote from Luber, it just perfectly captures that aha moment. He's sitting in a room with a billionaire, and it suddenly clicks. They were both trying to build the exact same thing. It was that kind of lightning-in-a-bottle moment that billion-dollar companies are made of.
Okay, so they had the stock market model, and they had the billionaire funding, but there was one more piece of the puzzle that was absolutely crucial to make any of this work. They had to build trust, and to do that, they needed an authentication engine.
So here's how that engine works. It all starts when a buyer and a seller agree on a price. But, and this is so important, the seller doesn't ship it to the buyer. No, They ship the item to Stockx first. It's a mandatory pit stop. Experts there physically inspect the product, making sure it's real and in the right condition. And only after it passes that inspection does Stockx release the money to the seller and then ship the item to the buyer. They are the trusted middleman in every single transaction.
And this guarantee, it was everything. It was totally non-negotiable from day one. I mean, think about it. For a kid who's saving up hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars for their dream pair of shoes, this kind of peace of mind is just priceless. You know you're not getting a fake, and that promise is the bedrock of the entire company.
To even deliver on that promise, they basically had to invent a job that didn't exist before, the professional sneaker authenticator. You couldn't just post a job for this on LinkedIn, right? They had to build the entire process from the ground up, creating training manuals and this intense 90-day program to turn passionate fans into elite fraud detectors.
So, did all this actually work? Well, this one chart tells the whole story. In September 2016, the iconic Air Jordan 1 bread dropped. On a normal day, Stockx was doing maybe 60 sales, but on that release day, they did 300. That was the moment. That's when they knew they had a hit. Users were just flooding the platform because it was a better, safer, and frankly, a much smarter way to buy and sell.
But the ambition here didn't just stop at being a better version of eBay. Luber and Gilbert saw Stockx not just as a secondary market for reselling things, but as something that could fundamentally change the primary market, the future of retail itself.
And their entire vision really starts with this one very provocative question. Is the way brands price their most popular stuff fundamentally broken?
I mean, this example says it all. Nike sells the Travis Scott Jordan 1 for $175. The absolute instant it sells out, its true market value gets revealed on Stockx, $1,500. Luber's whole argument is that this huge gap is just insane. The brand is leaving over $1,000 per pair on the table, and all of that value is going to resellers, not the people who actually made the thing.
And this leads us to their biggest idea of all, what they call the IPO of things. The idea is pretty simple. Just like a company goes public with an IPO, a brand could IPO a product. They'd release it directly onto the Stockx marketplace and just let the market, the real customers, determine the real price from day one using that bid/ask system. Now, of course, this means brands have to give up total control of their pricing, which is a massive risk, but the potential payoff is enormous. So you see, the ultimate goal isn't just to perfect the secondary market, it's to become the primary market, to be the first place a product is sold, not just the best place it's resold.
And that really brings us to the core philosophy that's driving this whole billion-dollar idea. For those special, high-demand products, maybe the price that's set in some corporate boardroom is just obsolete. Maybe the future is to just let the market decide. It's a pretty wild thought, and it's one that could completely reshape how we